The Galactic Council's testing facility orbited a dead moon, its sterile white corridors designed to intimidate as much as evaluate. For 3,000 cycles, every species seeking membership had entered these halls with trepidation. The survival trials were legendary, designed by the Kronar, a species that had evolved on a world of eternal twilight and gentle rains, where the greatest threat was occasionally tripping over moss-covered stones. Commander, Chuckled of the Vron Empire watched through reinforced glass as another candidate species failed the environmental adaptation chamber. The Palaxians, a proud race of crystalline beings, had lasted mere minutes before their molecular structures began destabilizing under what the testing parameters labeled moderate stress conditions. The temperature had been raised to a sweltering 35 degrees Celsius, and a light breeze had been introduced at 15 kilometers per hour. Another failure, Chuckled's assistant, a floating sphere of bioluminescent gas named Orva, pulsed with disappointed colors. That makes 17 consecutive species who couldn't pass Phase 1. Chuckled's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of profound confusion. I don't understand. The test parameters are clearly labeled as minimal survival conditions. We even reduced the difficulty by 40%. After the incident of 47, the incident of 47 was still spoken of in hushed tones. 3 entire species had simultaneously experienced complete psychological breakdown when exposed to what the testing committee called slightly cloudy weather with intermittent precipitation. Sir, Orva brightened suddenly. The next candidates are ready. Species 7234H. They call themselves humans. Chuckled accessed the datapad with his lower manipulator. From planet Earth? Classification, Deathworld? He felt a chill run through his thermal regulation system. Deathworlds were rare, planets so hostile that the Council had deemed them unsuitable for intelligent life. Only 3 known species had ever evolved on such hellscapes, and 2 had gone extinct before achieving space travel. Shall we adjust the testing parameters? Orva asked nervously. Absolutely not, Chuckled declared. The test is the test. We cannot show favoritism. The human delegation entered the observation room. There were 3 of them, 2 males and 1 female if Chuckled's xenobiology database was correct. They wore simple uniforms and moved with an unusual grace that spoke of high-gravity adaptation. The lead human, who had introduced herself as Captain Maria Santos, smiled at the testing committee. We're ready whenever you are, she said cheerfully. Chuckled initiated Phase 1. The environmental chamber's temperature began to rise. 30 degrees 35, the humidity increased. Wind speed climbed to 20 kilometers per hour. Every previous species had shown signs of distress by now. The humans were chatting among themselves. Feels like spring back home, one of the males commented. Bit dry, actually, the other replied. Could use more humidity. Chuckled's manipulators trembled as he increased the parameters. 40 degrees, 45. Wind gusts now reached 35 kilometers per hour. He introduced the nightmare scenario, a 5.2% grade incline that candidates had to walk up. Captain Santos led her team up the incline at a steady jog, still conversing casually. One of them even began whistling. This is impossible, Orva whispered, cycling through colors of disbelief. Initiate Phase 2, Chuckled commanded, his voice barely steady. Phase 2 introduced extreme danger stimuli. The chamber darkened. Holographic predators emerged from the shadows, creatures designed by combining the most terrifying aspects of known galactic fauna. Snarling, tooth-filled nightmares that had caused 17 species to require immediate psychological intervention. The humans formed a defensive triangle, their movements fluid and coordinated. But instead of the expected panic, Captain Santos actually laughed. Oh, you guys had tigers in your designer nightmare database, she called out to the observation room. We have those back home. Well, we did. They're endangered now. We're trying to save them. You're trying to save them. Chuckled couldn't help but ask over the intercom. Yeah, they're beautiful creatures, Santos replied while her teammate casually sidestepped a holographic lunge. We almost hunted them to extinction, which was a terrible mistake on our part. Phase 3 activated automatically. Psychological endurance scenarios flooded the chamber. Images of vast emptiness, crushing isolation, the weight of impossible decisions. The Kronar designers had been particularly proud of this phase, having incorporated actual nightmares from 47 different species. The humans went quiet, their expressions growing serious. Chuckled leaned forward, finally seeing what might be the breaking point. Then the male called Rodriguez spoke. "Hey, Captain. This reminds me of that time we were stranded on Kepler Station during the reactor failure." "Oh God, yeah," Santos groaned. 72 hours with no power, no heat, and recycled air that tasted like somebody's gym socks. "At least we had gravity," the third human, Williams, added. "Remember zero-G survival training? I was nauseous for a week. They were comparing the nightmare scenarios to their training exercises." Chuckled emergency stopped the simulation. The chamber powered down and the three humans looked around in surprise. "Is that it?" Santos asked. "We were just getting warmed up." The commander's translator struggled with his next words. "Captain Santos, what you just experienced, that was the complete council membership trial. It typically takes 3 weeks. You completed it in 47 minutes. The previous record was 11 days. Santos exchanged glances with her teammates. "Sir, with respect, was this test designed for children?" "Because back on Earth we'd classify those conditions as a pleasant Tuesday." Orva pulsed with curiosity. "Your planet must be extraordinarily gentle to produce such resilient beings." "Gentle?" Rodriguez laughed. "Earth tries to kill us pretty much constantly. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, droughts, floods, temperature swings of 70 degrees in a single day. We've got animals that can kill with poison, teeth, claws, or just sheer weight. We've got plants that can kill you. We've got water that can kill you if you inhale it wrong. We've got microscopic organisms that—" "Stop," Chuckled interrupted, his voice faint. "Please stop." Captain Santos smiled sympathetically. "Look, we appreciate the welcome, but if this is the membership test, we'd be happy to help you redesign it. Make it actually challenging. What you've got here is basically a spa day for us." Chuckled looked at his assistant, then back at the humans, then at the testing facility that had stood as the ultimate measure of galactic worthiness for millennia. "The Council," he said slowly, "is going to have a very long discussion about reclassifying what constitutes minimal survival conditions." As the humans left the chamber, still chatting and laughing, Chuckled made a note in his official report. "Species 7234H approved for immediate council membership. Recommendation: never under any circumstances visit their home world." In the background, he could hear Captain Santos asking if the cafeteria served anything spicy.